There are moments when life shakes our confidence so deeply that even the ground beneath our feet feels borrowed. And sometimes God allows the pillars we lean on to tremble, not to destroy us, but to reveal who truly holds us upright. That's where Nebuchadnezzar's story begins, not with a fall, but with a throne so secure it seemed untouchable. Nebuchadnezzar was the king who conquered nations, built empires, and raised Babylon into a wonder that shimmered under the desert sun. His palace towered above the world, his armies marched without defeat, and his voice determined the fate of multitudes. But in the book of Daniel, we see that while the world bowed to Nebuchadnezzar, Nebuchadnezzar himself struggled to bow before God. He dreamed dreams that no wise man could interpret, yet God used a servant Daniel to reveal the meaning. Those visions were warnings wrapped in mercy, reminding the king that kingdoms rise and fall not by human brilliance, but by God's sovereignty. But Nebuchadnezzar's heart swelled with pride. He looked across Babylon and claimed glory that did not belong to him. And in that moment, God allowed the unraveling to begin. His mind fractured, his authority slipped through his fingers, and the king who once commanded nations now wandered the fields like an ox. The mighty monarch became a living parable, a man who forgot the giver of greatness until God gently humbled him. Yet even in judgment, God did not abandon him. When Nebuchadnezzar lifted his eyes to heaven, finally acknowledging who reigns above all, his sanity was restored, his throne returned, and his praise echoed differently than before. This story reminds us that God's correction is not cruelty but compassion. He does not humble to humiliate. He humbles to heal. Nebuchadnezzar lost everything he relied on so he could rediscover the only one who truly sustains. In our own lives, when pride blinds us or success dulls our dependence, God may allow certain foundations to shake, not to punish us, but to awaken us to His presence. His love is strong enough to confront the parts of us that are destroying us, even when we cannot see it. There is also a sobering truth woven into Nebuchadnezzar's journey. We can build kingdoms with our hands while losing our hearts without noticing. The world celebrates power, accomplishment, and confidence, but God looks for surrender, humility, and reverence. Nebuchadnezzar's downfall wasn't a surprise to God. It was a rescue mission. And sometimes God disrupts our comfort, not because He is against us, but because He refuses to let pride rob us of His glory or His grace. Yet there is hope for every person who turns their gaze upward. When Nebuchadnezzar finally looked toward heaven, clarity returned. When he acknowledged God's rule, honor followed. In the same way, when we choose humility over self-exaltation, when we acknowledge that our strength, opportunities, and victories come from God, He restores what pride once distorted. His Spirit meets us not in our boasting but in our surrender, and in that place He rebuilds us with purpose, peace, and wisdom that earthly power cannot manufacture. In the end, Nebuchadnezzar's life is a reminder that no throne is too high for God to touch, and no heart is too lost for God to restore. A king crawled like a beast but rose with clearer vision because God refused to let him perish in pride. And as we watch his journey from power to brokenness to praise, we are invited to examine our own. God lifts the humble, opposes the proud, and meets every seeking heart with mercy. May we be people who lift our eyes early, long before the ground beneath us trembles.